Hey guys, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. So in today's build, we are building what I originally wanted to make a small home. I was thinking it would probably just be a tier 3 tiny home because I did have a specific floor plan in mind. I did find this floor plan on Pinterest and there was just not really any reasonable way that I could make it a tier 3 tiny home even. So it just ends up being, honestly, it's a pretty small home. I don't know how many tiles it would have been, honestly, but as you can see here, we're building under tiny residential, and then I end up having to change it to just plain old residential. But we are building in Newcrest. This is a 20 by 15 lot over in like the upper left-hand corner of the map. And this build ends up coming out to 45,880 simoleons. I want to say I use a pretty healthy balance. Like, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I'd say I use a pretty even balance of tiny living, eco lifestyle, and I do use a bit of dream home decorator. And I do use a bit of Snowy Escape as well. Snowy Escape definitely throughout the kitchen, and then a little bit of Tiny Living mixed in with that. I use like that taller like bar height table for the dining room table with just 2 chairs. And then I use a Snowy Escape desk in the living room. And then I think Snowy Escape wise, that might be it. But then obviously I use, like I mentioned, Tiny Living because this is a pretty small build. So I don't think I would have gone that much over the 100 tile limit in order to fit into the tier 3 tiny home, but you know, whatever. It's still very small and it would work out very well for up to 3 Sims unless you were to place a Murphy bed in the living room instead of the sectional that I end up placing. And you will see I do struggle a little bit with placing the sectional because sometimes like having a front door in the very middle of a room like how it is here, which of course on the exterior looks great in my opinion, but it just makes it kind of hard to figure out, okay, well, where am I going to put the couch in and where am I going to put the TV? And then if they're that close together, then you can't really place, you know, a coffee table. And so you will see I struggle a little bit with the whole layout of the living room, but then we do end up having like a nice open space where I mentioned that Snowy Escape desk is, and there's like a little seating area. It ends up being very nice. But anyway, we are furnishing the kitchen right now. I think maybe I'm just like placing some things just to make sure that doors and everything that I want to be in the right place will work out. So I think we might hop around just a little bit because again, I was building off of a floor plan that I found on Pinterest. So I just wanted to make sure that everything looked good before I fully committed and dedicated to this very specific floor plan. So we're just messing around a little bit here. I don't often use these railings for this staircase, but I really like it and it matches this flooring very well. I want to say this flooring is from Cats and Dogs if I'm not mistaken, but it looks good. It's a great match. I do end up using lots of wood tones here, but I still do lots of neutrals as well, like mostly white. And then when it comes to the living room, it's like a lighter kind of like feel to it. It's kind of breezy, no harsh colors necessarily, and I do like little pops of black as you can see in like the lighting that's above the table here, but other than that everything else balances it out very well, I would say. I was a little bummed, so as you guys probably know, we've had a couple of like patch updates, or at least my computer or my laptop definitely experienced like 2 patch updates in the last like week and some Sims deliveries. So I didn't have my red shelf mod or my CC in here. So I had to use my 9 and 0 keys to raise certain items. I was being lazy about it. I didn't want to exit out of my game. I was like on a roll, and then I was telling myself like, I'll go back in and do it later when I go to take screenshots, but I actually uploaded this version to the gallery without fixing that. So as you can probably maybe tell in the screenshots ever so slightly, there's a couple of items that aren't at the perfect height, but it doesn't look super obvious. So I just left it, and obviously there's been people that have downloaded it, so I'm not gonna like take it down and then, you know, put a new one up just for those ever so slight changes. But anyway, we're finishing up the kitchen. I do end up placing a couple of more things on the walls in here because it is pretty bare. And with this like very neutral color palette that we're going off of, I feel like you definitely need to work with a little bit of color, or at least you need to place things on the walls, or else it's just going to look extremely bare and not lived in, and that's totally not my style. But anyway, here is where we're starting to mess around with the living room, and you can see I struggle with it. I was originally going to have the couch orientated this way, but then I was like, well, where am I going to put a TV? And then I was considering not even placing a TV, but then I really wanted to utilize the tiny living TV, the one that's either in the bookcase or the one that's like actually mounted to the wall, because I never really used those, and I've maybe used the one that's mounted to the wall once or twice, I would say 2 times maximum. So I wanted to switch it up and definitely use something that I don't utilize very often. So that's what we did. You can see it takes me a while to get to that point, but then we end up not being able to place this coffee table because when I was playtesting here, my sim could not get to the actual like lounger portion of the sectional. So I had to get rid of it. I was a little bummed because it definitely ties in and like ties an entire living room together. Like, I feel like a living room without a coffee table is just kind of awkward unless it's extremely small, which in this case it is, but I still think it would have obviously looked better with a coffee table, but we do without, just obviously for the sake of being functioning, so kind of had to do it. But anyway, we're just hopping a little bit back and forth. I forgot to place a knife set in the kitchen, which I don't always do. Not often, but I do sometimes forget about like a knife block, but I think it just makes a kitchen totally look like a kitchen. Like when my husband and I were getting married, I was like, we have to get a really good looking knife block, but obviously like one that has like good knives and whatnot. So anyway, it's one of those things that I think about in the back of my head all the time when I'm building. I'm like, we have to have a knife block. So a lot of the times you might not even see me place it, but you see it in screenshots because it's just a must. It's very, very necessary. You need knives in order to cook. So I imagine that all of my Sims cook. Maybe they're not great at cooking. They're not like chefs or anything, but I don't know. I want them to be, useful in the kitchen. But anyway, we are just decorating this bathroom downstairs. I was going to call it a half bath, but it's not. It has a shower in it. So very well functioning for up to 3 Sims. Like I mentioned, there is a double bed upstairs and a single bed upstairs. You could totally fit in 2 beds in the second bedroom upstairs, or even bunk beds. Then maybe there's potential for more. But I was kind of thinking with the way that the dining room is, there's definitely not much space for too many Sims, but we do end up utilizing the outdoor space quite a bit as well. So there's plenty of outdoor dining seating out there. But anyway, we're still inside, so let's talk about the inside. This bathroom, I use lots of tiny living, as you can see. The only tiny living item I don't use are the bath mat, the bathtub, and the the towel. That's from Get Together, I think. But anyway, we are now into what I would consider the bigger bedroom or the master bedroom, but it's not quite a master because it doesn't have an ensuite bathroom. So this is just the bedroom. I almost called it a bathroom. This is the bedroom where you would maybe have your adult Sims or your parent Sims, or maybe even a single Sim. Maybe this is the Sim that pays the most in rent, or maybe this is the owner of the home and then they rent out the second room to a roommate or something. So they deserve a double bed, and I don't know, I can't not place double beds in at least one of the rooms unless we're doing like a really, really, really small home for whatever reason, just, for fun. We want to do a tiny room or a tiny house, but anyway, I have to place a double bed. I don't know. It's hard to not place a double bed in one of the rooms in a home or even an apartment. I always try to find a way, but we're just kind of cluttering up the side tables here. These are within close proximity to the bed, but both sides are completely functioning. So you can ideally fit 2 Sims in here if you'd like. And then I believe we hop over into the second bedroom where it's very simple. And now that I'm saying that, it's actually, this entire build is very, very simple. If you guys have been around on my channel for a while, you know I love a good cluttered build, but sometimes you just have to make it simple, because I can't even sit here and say that you guys are going to download this off the gallery and then not clutter it up on your own, you know? I really didn't think too much about the Sims that would be living here, so I didn't really add any personalized clutter. And a lot of the times I get carried away with clutter when I think very specifically about who like the Sims are that are going to be living here. And I didn't do that this time, so I left it very simple. So I'm thinking I'm going to call this build Simple Contemporary Home or something like that. I'm not really sure, but it is very simple. There's not much to this build, but it's still great with function. There's lots of things for your Sims to do. This outdoor space, I make a little seating area. There's also outdoor dining table that actually fits, I think, 6 Sims. And then there's also like an outdoor bench, so even more outdoor seating. And then 2 things that I actually do place outside that are skill building items is a yoga mat over here off to the left, and then I place an art easel outside just right off of this little fenced in area. It's over by the really nice tree. I want to say it's like from Perfect Patio. Oh, it might not be Perfect Patio. Backyard Stuff, maybe. It's like that nice big tree that has those lanterns hanging from it. I love that tree. I don't use it too often, but oh my gosh, I would so have a tree like that at my own home. Or, you know, I would have a tree where I'd hang like some sort of like cool like fairy lights or something from it. So I really wanted to use that here because I don't know, I was just thinking that maybe if this Sim does have some like characteristics or personality traits that they like to host parties, maybe nothing crazy, but just like little get-togethers, like dinner parties, and maybe they're in a club of some sort and they like to host here at their home because they have all this nice outdoor space. But with that said, you definitely need some good weather if you're going to be spending lots of time out here because it's not a covered space. But anyway, we're getting close to the screenshots, so make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that post notification bell so you don't miss a build. And down below, I always leave all of my handles for my Twitter, my Instagram, and my EA ID is under there as well. Everything is ashleyyangelinaa, spelled with 2 Y's and 2 A's at the end of Angelina, except for my Twitter. It's ashleyyangelinaa, spelled with 2 Y's and just 1 A at the end of Angelina. I have been slacking on my Twitter posts. I've said that in past builds. I don't know when I will get better at it, but I will try. I really will try. It definitely pops into my head when I post screenshots on Instagram, and then I'm like, I'll get around to it, and then I just don't. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future build. Bye!